Hey guys, there is a ton of information on dating out there from Catholics and non-Catholics, so I would like to propose a roadmap on how you can find your future spouse and marry them one day. So step 1 on finding your future spouse is by meeting someone. And how do you find single Catholics? The best way to do this is at your local parish at a young adult group, or there are other places like Catholic centers, such as your Newman Center, or you can go to focus.org and find a missionary who can plug you into the Catholic communities there. When you know that you like someone, the next step is to ask them out on a date. I highly suggest that you ask somebody out in person because it shows your intention and it shows that you respect that person. Now, if somebody asks you out and you do want to go out on a date with them, I highly suggest you accept and you ask them, where do you want to go? Do you already have a date planned? Things of that nature. Now, if you're already friends with them and you feel comfortable enough having them pick you up at your house, that's great. If not, meet in a public area that you both are familiar with. Now, if you don't want to go out on a date with somebody, still acknowledge their intentionality and be respectful of that person and say, no, thank you, but I really appreciate how you asked me out. I do think that it's important that we compliment somebody on how they asked you out and if you really liked it so that they know that that's the proper way to do it for the next person. I think it's really important to remember that if you say yes to a date, remember that it's not the end-all be-all. It is one date, and if it doesn't work out, you don't have to go on a second date. Now, let's say that you do not want to go on the date at all. I would still highly suggest, if there's no real reason you don't want to go on the date, to still try it out because, again, it's not a commitment. So the third step is the talking phase. This is the first few dates before you're in a committed relationship. This is when you should be going over more deep conversations. Now, this is not exclusive to the talking phase. You can have these conversations while you're in a committed relationship, but having a good foundation of what your beliefs are before you get into a committed relationship is important. Step 4 is being in a committed relationship. This is where you are officially boyfriend and girlfriend. Personally, for me, one of the best ways to do this is to ask them in person and maybe bring them flowers or go out on a date of some kind and then ask them like, hey, I think this is going really well and we've been discerning this together. Do you want to become official? It needs to be a mutual thing. They have to feel that as well. The purpose of this stage is to discern marriage with this specific person. Whereas the talking phase was shorter, the committed relationship phase is going to be longer, but it does look different for everybody. Step 5 is when you are in this committed relationship with somebody, you are now going to be discerning marriage. The best way to do this is to keep Christ at the forefront of your relationship by doing adoration, praying together, saying grace when you have meals together, going to mass together. All of these things are fundamental in discerning if this person is who you want to marry. Now, in this phase, you're going to be talking about a lot of heavier topics about work, about life, where you want to live eventually, family, politics, etc. And so there are going to be a lot of areas you might disagree on, and that's when you really have to discern, is this something that you guys can work through, or is it something that is more of a deal breaker? When we are discerning to marry someone, we do need to realize that soulmates do not exist. And so we could be happy with a multitude of different people, but we do need to discern if the person we are in a committed relationship with is somebody we do want to marry. While you're discerning to marry this person, it's important that you bring God into that discernment as well, and that you have a prayer life and a sense of peace about the relationship. There will be a sense of peace that God gives you about this relationship, but at the end of the day, you'll know that this is the person you want to marry. So number 6 is how to propose. I think one of the biggest things when it comes to proposing is you both have to be on the same page. You have to discern this together and make sure that this is something you both want. I am a huge fan of surprise proposals, and my fiance surprised me on Divine Mercy Sunday after Mass. He walked me over to the Our Lady altar and he got down on one knee, and it was amazing. I want to clarify here that surprise proposals are great, but you need to discern and be on the same page. Your girlfriend should not be surprised when you whip out a ring. And so the next thing to figure out is the ring and where you want to propose. Do you want to propose at church? Is there a significance behind the date you're going to propose on? All of these things play a factor. And I think it's really beautiful as Catholics because there's so much meaning behind everything we do. And so picking a date that has a lot of meaning behind it just makes it all the more special. And the final step is the engagement phase. This is where you'll go through some marriage prep, and this will really help you grow with your significant other and prepare you both for marriage. I hope that this video helped you guys understand how to go from being single to married, if that is something you're called to. And check out our video coming out soon where I answer your questions about dating.